Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Mommy Podcast. We are starting off season 2 with a bang. We're starting it off with talking about pregnancy. And this was not the original plan. If you've been following this show since the beginning, we were going to get into talking about relationships and how those change as you become a new mother and progress through life. However, I am pregnant, so I have that on my mind, and I'm going to refocus this season into pregnancy, the things that you can kind of expect to change with your body, the things that you can expect to change with your mind and your lifestyle, things that you should be aware of if you're a first-time pregnant mama, and if it's not your first time, maybe just a nice refresher. So let's get into it. To start things off, I wanted to get this going because mainly when you are first pregnant, it is challenging to know all of the things that you can no longer immediately do. I found that kind of stressful my first pregnancy of understanding, okay, so I can't eat this anymore. I can't do these certain activities. Where is this information? Where can I find it? So I'm putting together just a quick Coles Notes of things to be aware of and things that have helped me throughout my pregnancies. This is now coming up on the 3rd pregnancy, which I can't believe. It's, wow, like 10 more weeks and then there's another little baby. It goes by quickly, and although it seems like 9 months is a tremendous amount of time, it flies. It honestly does. If you've done it before, you kind of know what I'm talking about. So getting into right away what you can do in those quick flyer 9 months is restrict some of the things that you're eating. Now, getting right into some research, the American Pregnancy Association has limits on a whole bunch of different food groups, and I've kind of picked and parceled my episode from the American Pregnancy Association, as well as the Pregnancy, Birth, and Baby Association from Australia. So together, there's going to be a lot of different facts, and I won't be quoting them all specifically, but they are all kind of overlapping and talking about similar things. So to get started, for all of you Starbucks lovers out there, caffeine needs to be limited. So if you were a heavy coffee drinker before, there is a recommendation that you should not drink caffeine. The healthiest way to do things is to not drink caffeine. So the American Pregnancy Association does say you can have caffeine if it's under 200 milligrams per day. So if you can kind of figure out what that means for you, for me, that is one kind of half caffeinated coffee that I make at home, so I can kind of figure out how much caffeine I'm getting. Now, I have had caffeine throughout all of my pregnancies. I never changed that from, trying to conceiving, early pregnancy, all of that stuff. Now, in the first 14 weeks and that first trimester, you do want to be super, super careful. And if you are paranoid, I was paranoid, but I still had my caffeine, but it's something I think you can't escape as a new mom, is this super paranoia of, am I doing something that is dangerous? What is the safest way to do things? And for my personal situation, I felt that I did not want to cut out caffeine because that is something that this little baby has already been kind of having in my body. I was just going to restrict it so that it's not getting as much caffeine. Because, of course, when you find out you're pregnant, you already have your baby growing inside of you. And then that is the time when you start making all of these changes to become a super healthy, very conscientious version of a mother growing a baby. Now, the reason that this is important is because caffeine has been studied as being linked to miscarriages. So if you are having more than 200 milligrams of caffeine a day, from the different studies that I've seen out there, it does increase your chances of causing a miscarriage in that delicate first trimester of those first 14 weeks. So do whatever you see best. I limited mine way down. I probably have maybe 60 milligrams of coffee. Like, I have a very light coffee every day, and that works for me. I enjoy it, but something to remember is to limit things like pop and soda. They do also have caffeine, and chocolate and tea are also offenders for caffeine. So if you are a soda pop, chocolate and tea person as well, maybe just pick which one you're going to keep throughout the next 9 months and try not to have all 3 of them at the same time, because keeping all of those under 200 milligrams may just stress you out. Now, of course, the American Pregnancy Association also says alcohol. There is no safe amount. I know in some cultures, people do drink throughout their pregnancy. They think a glass of wine is fine, if anything, more beneficial for the baby. I am not of that thought. I don't do that. I have zero alcohol, and I basically don't drink anything from the moment I find out that I'm pregnant. Now, alcohol can be related to a lot of bad things with a growing baby. The biggest thing is fetal alcohol syndrome, which can basically cause problems with your baby's development and growth. And if that's something that you can avoid, I would highly recommend having zero alcohol throughout your entire pregnancy. There is no safe amount. Now, something people may not know about is unwashed veggies can have toxoplasmosis. And I knew about toxoplasmosis as being with cat litter. So if you're pregnant, don't change the cat litter. Try to get your spouse or your partner to do that for you, if that is one of your tasks that you like doing, because cat litter can be very, very dangerous for a pregnant woman. However, I had no idea that it was also in unwashed vegetables. Now, here I am, third pregnancy in, and I just found that out. So good to know. And I'm sharing that on here. So hopefully you find that out before your third pregnancy. Now, there are a few things, like I said, that I mixed in from the two different sides of research that I found, and they were very comprehensive. So this is kind of a mashup of both. So bathtubs over 37.7 degrees Celsius, that is basically 99 Fahrenheit. You do not want to have a situation where you are overheating your body because you are causing an imbalance in the heat distribution with your baby. So hot tubs, saunas, bathtubs that are over 37.7 degrees Celsius, they are a no. Now, something that I did throughout my pregnancies is just keep a little thermometer that, it's the under the tongue thermometer that you check your temperature with. And I just check my bath water and make sure that it's always under 37.7 just to be safe. Because personally, I love having like scalding hot bathtubs. I love those. And so that is something that I have to sacrifice throughout pregnancy and have these kind of lukewarm tubs. So if you didn't know that, please try to stay away from the heat. Now, a quick jump over into facial care. So retinols, salicylic acids, fake tanners. If you are a girl that likes your fillers and your Botox, stay away from that. Stay away from laser treatments. Those things, kind of compressing all of the beauty items right there really quickly, those all have to be avoided. Now, retinol can cause birth defects. It has been tested. And salicylic acid is one of those that is also tested as causing problems. Fake tanners, the main issue is, what the issue is that none of these products are tested on a pregnant woman, because no association, no organization, no researcher ever is going to say, here, pregnant woman, I want to test this on you and see if anything happens to your baby or you. I don't think that will ever happen. I hope that never happens. And that is why a lot of these things are recommended as just eliminating them for the 9 months. However, there's not specific studies or guidelines saying, you can have this much of something or you can use this many times a day, because it's not studied and it will never be studied. And you don't want that to be studied. You don't want someone to have to be put in that position for the benefit of research when you're talking about a new beautiful baby and a life and growing that. So a lot of these recommendations seem very restrictive because they say completely cut it out. On the safe side, just completely cut it out. You're not going to suffer. Your skin won't be as glowing and as beautiful while you're pregnant. No matter what you do, your skin is going to go through its whole other journey while you're pregnant. Just leave it alone. Don't push those products. So kind of how I started on that tangent is fake tanners. So fake tanners have not really been studied as, what exactly they are bad for. However, it has been proven that the risk of inhalation of different chemicals is dangerous. So, you don't want to be around heavy paint fumes. You definitely don't want to be around lead paint. You don't want to be around gasoline and even really smoky air from wildfires, that type of thing. So of course, you don't want to be inhaling a whole bunch of spray tanner, because we don't know what that does. So another one. Now, there is a mega list of food and beverage items that you cannot have. Now, I already mentioned alcohol and limiting your caffeine, whether that comes in tea, coffee, or chocolate. You also cannot have, and this is because it's not tested, but it is proven to have certain bacteria that can be harmful and probably is harmful if you're ingesting it while you're pregnant. So, herbal teas are fine generally, but some of them are not. So please check into that. Herbs and spices and things like that are generally not recommended. You don't want to do any kind of like herbal remedy therapy. There's even some kinds of essential oils that are not recommended. So please look into that. The deli meats, if you're having, you love having a cold cut sandwich with deli meat and Black Forest ham and salami and all that stuff, can't have it. Unpasteurized juices and cheese. So for cheeses, that's basically, the pasteurization process for juice and cheese is to get rid of any kind of bacteria. If you are juicing your own vegetables and things like that, that is unpasteurized juice because you're not putting it through the process of making sure any bacteria is gone. However, on a normal gut, that's fine. That's completely healthy because you can handle it, but you don't know what amount is getting through to your baby and therefore not recommended. Soft cheeses like brie and unpasteurized juices, fresh juices, raw juices, you kind of have to stay away from that for your pregnancy. Now, another one in there with limiting caffeine in coffee is smoking. I mean, sometimes caffeine, coffee, alcohol goes hand in hand with smoking. If you're a smoker, please stop. That has actually been proven because enough people have done it. And unfortunately, way back 20, 30 years ago, well, I almost want to say 30, 40 years ago, you had your doctor smoking. So mothers were told, hey, it's fine, it's totally safe. And then babies started being born prematurely and underweight and having kind of health complications. So now, because there's enough research, because it happened to enough people, smoking is not recommended. Please do not smoke while you're pregnant. And now looking at my notes, I'm seeing that I'm going from skincare into food, into kind of exercise, and then back again. So just bear with me. I'm going to get through all of it, but it's going to get gone through in its own way. So certain medications, there are certain medications that you cannot have, especially if you have a prescription medication. Of course, bring that up with your family doctor or your healthcare team when you first find out that you're pregnant, and make sure that that is safe to continue taking while you're pregnant. Certain hair dyes are also not recommended. Mainly, if you're bleaching your hair and you're not touching the scalp, it is said to be fine. But if you are dyeing your hair darker, the idea is that the chemicals from the hair dye will get absorbed into your scalp. And again, we don't know what that does. So recommended to, if you are dyeing your hair, not have anything touching your scalp, be in a very well ventilated area, maybe even wear a mask if you're able to do that. Now, that leads into another thing with your face and hair, so your brows and your lashes. It is recommended that you do not do brow lamination or lash lifts. Now, those are kind of like a perming procedure, more of an aesthetic procedure, and I think they're beautiful. They can make a big difference in someone's appearance. However, your hormones also change your hair. They change how your body reacts to certain things. So those two procedures are actually not recommended by a lot of salons. They will say, we don't know how your hair is going to react, and it could be more sensitive, it could be more coarse. Acting right now during your pregnancy with these different hormones, we don't even want to try it at risk of a reaction. And also because the chemicals that they use are perming solution chemicals. And if you've ever smelt that stuff, oh, it is horrible. It's like eggs on steroids mixed with bleach. You don't want to be inhaling that stuff when you are pregnant. Okay, so now this is my little jump of going into physical activity things. So you do not want to be starting any kind of new exercise regime. I mean, it is tempting because you're going, okay, I'm pregnant. going to start making all of these changes. Maybe within 9 months, I'm going to be starting my maternity leave and I want to be starting off on a new leaf or healthier or whatever. Don't start a new exercise regime when you're first pregnant. Your body is so delicately trying to balance everything, especially in those first 14 weeks. Don't decide you're going to be a runner now. Just wait. Keep exercise. If you've done nothing, start by just walking. It is definitely not the time to be starting a new regime. Now, with exercise routines, one thing you don't want to be doing is crunches. Crunches are just a no. If you do any kind of pregnancy workout, you'll see that they're not going crazy on doing crunches. That is just not recommended while you are pregnant. Now, the interesting thing that I wanted to throw in here that I found out through this pregnancy, because it wasn't as relevant with my last pregnancies, the market wasn't there. But now the market is here for all of these kind of fun non-alcoholic beverages. So you have all of these, non-alcoholic beers on the market and non-alcoholic wines and rosés and Prosecco's and all of these things. However, you do have to still watch them, because I looked into these quite heavily, and you still have to watch the ethanol percentage, because if there's enough ethanol in those drinks, you're still getting a little bit of alcohol in your system, and that ethanol is natural through the fermentation process. So just something to be aware of. I mean, just because it says it's non-alcoholic, you still want to do your due diligence and really make sure, all of the elements within that drink are not causing some other side effect, like increasing the percentage of ethanol in a drink, and then you're drinking that and still kind of getting your alcohol, if that makes sense. Even though it would be a very low amount, the idea is none while you're pregnant. So a fun one to get into before I get back into any kind of talking about food is massage at the back of the ankle. So if you're going for a pregnancy massage or you're going for a pedicure, there is a spot, an acupuncture spot at the back of your ankles that you do have to be aware of. If you do a quick Google, it'll show you the images exactly of where that spot is. And most providers should be very aware of it. However, never take anything for granted that someone is just aware and knowing what they're doing. You always want to keep that competence with yourself and be doing what's best for you. So a gentle reminder of, you're getting a pedicure and hey, just so you know, I'm pregnant, so please avoid the back of my ankles when you're doing a massage, or things with going and getting like a proper pregnancy massage. Now, some people might be saying, what do you mean pedicures, manicures? Those are also not recommended. Now, certain things like getting acrylic nails and gel nails are not recommended from what I have read, because the chemicals are very strong and very strong smelling. However, if you're in a very well ventilated area, you can get away with getting nail polish on your hands and your feet. And that has shown to have no effects that are dangerous for you or your baby. Okay, to jump into the pregnancy, birth, and baby from Australia, they, of course, mentioned a lot of things to do with beauty and sunbeds and self-tanning and that type of thing. They did also bring up a lot about different cleaning products. There are a ton of cleaning products out there on the market. A lot of them are very dangerous to be inhaling when you are pregnant. I'd recommend if you are cleaning, wear a mask no matter what, even after you've looked into your product. Most times you will find, looking into a label, it will say not recommended for pregnancy. Or if you Google it, it will say not recommended for pregnancy, because again, a cleaning company is not going to go and test it on a pregnant woman and say, here, can you try using this and see if anything happens? So you just kind of have to do the due diligence yourself and look into it. And if they say that, play it on the safe side, don't use it, or wear a mask if you absolutely have to. So one interesting thing that they brought up that I was alerted to from my dentist was no dental x-rays. So of course, no x-rays at all while you're pregnant. You would know that if you go into the hospital, unfortunately some things can happen during pregnancy that can put a mom at risk. And if you have to get a x-ray, then you kind of have to make that choice of taking the risk of doing the x-ray while you're pregnant and looking after your health. However, things like dental x-rays, hopefully that is more of a choice of, something you can do now or something you can do in 6 or 9 months when you're not pregnant. So dental x-rays, stay away from those. And in general, any x-ray, unless you are in a position where you have to for your health, they are not recommended. And most healthcare professionals hopefully will tell you that. We're getting to the end of this mega list, kind of. So now I'm going all over the place here. So no raw fish. If that means sushi, if you're a sushi lover, no more sushi, sashimi, those type of things. If you're ordering sushi, a little side note to all the moms out there that still love, vegetarian sushi. If you're getting avocado or cucumber or sweet potato, write on the order or let your waitress or waiter know that you are pregnant. Please do not put fish eggs, fish roe on your sushi, because then you can't eat it. Just something as a heads up, a little tidbit that I learned. I remember the first time we ordered sushi at home when I was pregnant with my first, and it showed up with all these little decorative fish eggs all over everything. And I spent, half an hour picking out all these eggs, and my husband was painstakingly watching me going, just, let's eat something else. And I was on the verge of tears because I wanted to eat sushi so bad. And I couldn't because it was covered in all of these little fish eggs and, hormonal pregnant looking at food. It was just a disaster. So now I know better to ask and make sure that that is just not put on the food at all. Okay, so any jumping sports, and I know this is going all over the place, bear with me. No jumping sports, horseback riding, heavy weighted exercises. You do not want to be lifting anything over a certain weight. My personal recommendation was not to lift anything over 15 pounds. Now, that was with my first pregnancy. I have a 2.5-year-old and a 1-year-old that are both 30 pounds, 30 and 20 pounds. So I lift them. And with this pregnancy, I've been told that that's okay. So talk with your provider, see what is okay and what is not, what your limit would be. Wow, I really do go all over the place here. I blame this on pregnancy brain. So fish with mercury, if you're having certain fish, look into the mercury content. Some fish can be really heavy in mercury, which is dangerous for you and your baby. So stay away from that. Raw sprouts like alfalfa and those types of things. I love having sprouts in a sandwich. A little bit of mayo, cucumber, salt, pepper. Can't have those because it kind of goes to that bacterial content that they can contain things like listeria that would be in raw eggs and things like that. So just recommended to be avoided. Of course, you can't boil or cook a sprout because then it's just not the same. I mean, I guess you could, but for me, I wouldn't. It's not the same. So just something to avoid. And to end this off, ibuprofen and certain cold medications. So this honestly does suck if you're pregnant and you get a cold, you get sick. You cannot have any of the medications that are basically causing a restriction in your blood vessels to, just prevent things like a runny nose, to kind of help with that. So, Tylenol, cold and flu is an absolutely not safe. If you think about it, it's restricting the blood vessels in your body, and your body does not know enough to go, okay, I'm only restricting these ones and I'm not restricting these ones down by the baby. So you are just not allowed to take certain cold medications. If you have a cold, you have to drink a lot of water and sleep, maybe make a lemon garlic drink. And that's something I'll get into in another episode. It is honestly a savior elixir, but, make something from scratch. Unfortunately, you can't take any cold meds. You just have to suffer through it a little bit more. And, one more. To end it off, airport scanners. Now, most airports will tell you, it's completely safe to walk through this x-ray machine. I'm not even saying that they're an x-ray machine. I don't know what they are. I don't know what they're scanning through your body with. I just avoid them and I always go do the pat down. You're probably going to get judged. I've been judged for the 3 years that I've done that with all of my pregnancies. And they say, oh no, it's completely safe, ma'am. And, you just ask to go around the side, do a pat down and go through. Just because you don't know, again, that is not something that is tested on pregnant women. And you don't want to be the guinea pig and kind of just hope that they know what they're talking about. Most of them have just been told that it's safe, but have they looked into the research? I don't know. And I'll just take that into my own hands and avoid it altogether. So wow, that was a lot. I really wanted to get through a comprehensive list of everything that I could think of that I've been avoiding for this pregnancy and my last 2 pregnancies. And thanks for bearing with me. I did talk quickly through that. I'm trying to keep these episodes so they're not outrageously long. I understand new moms, you don't have that kind of time. Geez, I can barely stay awake while I'm recording this myself. So I hope that you found some value in this. If you have any questions about certain things, put it in the show notes. I love comments. I love feedback. I'm going to ask you now if you have joined me this far in the journey and made it into my second season. Please subscribe. Please share this show. Please leave comments. It helps me so much to know what you guys are thinking, what you guys are finding value in, and if the content is helpful or if it could go in a different direction. All of those things. I just love the feedback. Let me know that you're enjoying this show. It means the world to me. I hope that you're getting some value from it yourself. And I hope that you just have an awesome day today. If you're exhausted or tired, push through. Have a great day. Just decide that it's going to be amazing. And you'll go to bed feeling so much better. So, thanks for joining me today. I will see you back here in the next episode where we're talking about changing that beauty routine when, you are changing all over. So, have a great day. Make it a great day. I will talk to you soon.